So you're thinking of moving to Turlock, California, but you don't know much about the area? Well, today I'm going to go over the top pros and the top cons of living in Turlock, California, so you can get a better idea of what it's really like to live here. Now, if you are thinking of moving to Turlock, California, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first one updated about the Central Valley market. I'm Alex. I'm a local realtor based out of Turlock, California, so I know my way around town extremely well. So if you're looking to make a move here or just want a little bit more information about the area, feel free to book a Zoom call with me or send me a text, give me a call, and we can sit down, find time to talk about what it is that you're looking for and how you can make a smooth move here to the Valley. Now, being born and raised here in Turlock, California, I am slightly biased towards this little Central Valley town. I have to say it's probably one of my favorite towns here in the Central Valley to live in, but you'll see why. There's a lot of really great things about being here in Turlock, but there are cons as well too, so we'll get into both of those. Now, a little bit more about Turlock before we get into those pros and cons. It's growing significantly. It has a population of about 72,000, so it is considered a city here. It was founded in 1871 by a grain farmer named John Mitchell. Now, it wasn't actually incorporated into a city until 1908. But what really jump-started this city's growth was the founding of the Turlock Irrigation District, also commonly known as TID here in the area, which was founded in 1901. And that really changed the agricultural landscape here from dry farming to a little bit more diverse options. So now here in Turlock and in the valley itself, we are very well known for our almond production, walnut production, as well as dairy farming too. Now, the first pro I want to discuss, and I think this is a major one for us, is in the past about 15 to 20 years, we have had significant growth here in Turlock, and not just in terms of housing, but a whole bunch of different things. So to start with, yes, we have had new housing, new development. Close to Monte Vista, there is the Monte Vista Crossings housing. So Monte Vista Crossings, if you're not familiar with the area, there is a lot of shopping there. We have Target, TJ Maxx. Sorry, I'm just listing my favorite ones off the top of my head. We recently just had a Home Goods put in just in this past year, I think towards the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. We have just a ton of shopping and dining over there, but because of that popular area, they also did build homes around 2010s over there. And we've also had significant growth along Berkeley Avenue in northern Turlock with new homes being built. So there's a need for it. A lot of people are wanting to move here to Turlock. So I would say it's one of the more popular cities here in Stanislaus County. So there's a lot of people wanting to move here, need for the housing growth. Now, it hasn't just grown in terms of housing, like I was just talking about with the retail shops. We've seen a huge influx of stores coming into Turlock. Like I said, we just had Home Goods put in about sometime in the later 2010s. We had a whole new development built on to that Monte Vista Crossing shopping center area. So we had, a Dick's Sporting Goods coming to town. There's Forever 21, Buffalo Wild Wings was added there. Some furniture store, home goods stores, just a good mix of different things. And it just brings a lot of people to the area. So it used to be over 20, 30 years ago, if you lived in Turlock, if you wanted probably 30 years ago, if you wanted access to shopping, dining, you really had to go to Modesto. Now, Modesto is a little bit more northern, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what part of Modesto you're going to. But now if you live in Turlock, there's really no need to leave Turlock unless you're looking for something specialty. You have all the shopping you could look for, all the dining you could possibly need right here, all within, a 10, 15 minute radius of where your house is at in Turlock. So that has been absolutely huge. Now, another pro to this growth has been the downtown area. I remember growing up as a kid, downtown Turlock was, for lack of a better word, just not the best place. It was, there was just a lot of kind of dive bars. I always remember a lot of tattoo parlors growing up. That's just what sticks in my head as a kid. But I think it was about 15 years ago or so, they started a revitalization project in the downtown, and they really turned it around and made it into a place where people want to be and want to visit. So now we have just thriving restaurants. Every single one of them is delicious. I think I've eaten at just about every single one of them there. They also have a ton of local businesses there with lots of shopping, boutique stores. and they do their farmers markets on Saturdays. So it's really just a welcoming, inviting atmosphere. And I think it's been huge for the growth here in Turlock too, because people want places where they can visit, go shopping, go eating, just sit down and relax in a nice area. And that really is downtown Turlock now. So like I said, past 15, 20 years, Turlock has grown in such a positive way, and we're still seeing growth. There is talk about they're bringing a Chick-fil-A to Turlock. I don't know when that's coming. I don't even know where it's being built, but that's what is currently in the works. So that's just kind of huge for our area. Now, the next pro, being that it is a little bit of a smaller community, it's a very community-oriented atmosphere. I would say Turlock especially tries to put on a lot of events that are kid-friendly, family-friendly, just fun for all different ages. So a really big one here is we do have the Stanislaus County Fairgrounds here in Turlock. So there's a lot of events that go on throughout the year, but the biggest one is the Stanislaus County Fair. Now that's usually about a week long, sometime in July. And that not only, of course, has rides and games for all ages, it also brings in different concerts, local talent, and those are a lot of fun to go to. So that brings in around 200,000 people annually just in that 1 week. So that's huge. We have that here in Turlock. We also, as I mentioned, of course, have the farmers market. So that brings in a lot of local businesses, just supporting different talent, a lot of really great food being sold there, a lot of local produce. So definitely go support that if you have time. It's on Saturdays. And there's just in general a lot of events that Turlock puts on throughout the year. So we have, our Christmas parade that really brings together a lot of people to build floats. We have our lighting ceremony, usually towards end of November, beginning of December. I think it's usually after Thanksgiving, where we have in downtown Turlock a big lighting ceremony of the tree. So there's just different things like that throughout the year. A big one is some of the car culture here as well too. We have swap meets. There's usually some vintage car shows. So there's always something going on, very community oriented and just trying to get people engaged. Now, a huge pro also is we have really strong educational institutions. So right here in Turlock, we have CSU Stanislaus State. Now, a CSU, if you're not familiar with the California college systems, is the California State University. So there's 23 CSUs in California, and one of them is right here. It's commonly referred to as Stan State for short, instead of CSU Stanislaus State. It's a little long. But that was established in 1965. And not only is there a campus here that is around 228 acres, it's pretty big. They also, in the 90s, created an offshoot in Stockton for some other specialized programs. But the main campus is here directly in Turlock, which is huge. And a lot of students that go to the high schools here, or even surrounding high schools, do end up going to Stanislaus State, because there are over 95 different undergrad programs. I don't know how many for master's or doctorate, but that's a lot of options for undergrad students. So they also have been recently trying to expand and just improve upon the campus. In 2020, they opened a new University Student Center that costs about $52 million, and it includes new bookstores, food service options, study rooms, just an overall great facility for students and staff. And it is open to the public as well. So the great thing about Stanislaus State too, even if you're not going there for school, I didn't personally go there, but being a Turlock resident, a lot of people love just taking walks on that campus there. They have a lot of different fountains and water areas that are beautiful. People take pictures for weddings or proms there all the time as well too. They have a lot of ducks and geese around, and it's overall just a very scenic, well put together, beautiful campus right here in the heart of Turlock. Now, besides just the college, we actually here in Turlock have some pretty great school systems as well too for K through 12. So in terms of public schools, we actually have a few elementary schools that have really great programs for kids. So one example is Walnut. Walnut Elementary opened up in the early 2000s, I'd say around 2007, 2006, around there. It's early 2000s. And they offer a magnet program at Walnut. So Walnut, anywhere that you live in Turlock, you can actually have your child attend Walnut. You don't have to be in that school district because it is lottery based. So Walnut does offer, like I said, magnet programs. So they have two different sizes. It's called the Renaissance Rays, and then there's I think the Dynamos it's called. I actually went to Walnut as a kid. I was on the Renaissance side, but The Raise side essentially promotes extra programs that relate to if your child is more into the arts and that kind of stuff. And then the Dynamo side promotes extra activities on top of the normal curriculum that promote more math and science side. So it really just feeds into what the kid, your child prefers and enjoys more, and they do more activities and field trips related to that. So I think that is just a fantastic program. And again, I think it's great that you don't have to live in a specific area or school district for your kid to go there. You just have to be drawn in through the lottery system. Now, we also have Julian Elementary, which is right down the street from Turlock High School, and that has the GATE program. Now, the GATE program is the Gifted and Talented Education. So students do have to test into that, and it just offers, if your child maybe has a different way of thinking or is a little bit more out of the box kind of thing, it just is a different way of education. It's really great for some of these students that are maybe a little bit more accelerated as well. Lastly, a notable school or elementary school, in my opinion, is Osborne Elementary. Osborne is actually an immersion program, so they teach children Spanish at the same time. So while they're, of course, they learn English and all those necessary skills too, but they're also learning Spanish so that when they come out of it, they can be completely bilingual, and it's a great opportunity here, especially in California, so we can communicate with more people. Now, in terms of middle schools, we have two public middle schools, and we have a couple private as well too. We have Dutcher and Turlock Junior High School. Dutcher is a much smaller school, and it actually used to be an elementary before it transformed into a middle school in the early 2000s, I believe. Some of it starts at 6th grade and goes to 8th grade. But in terms of high schools, we also do have two public high schools. There's Turlock High School, which of course is the original high school. It's been here since the early 1900s. And then we have Pittman High School, which was a newer one built in, I think, the early 2000s. Both have really great ratings. Pittman has an A- rating on niche.com, and Turlock High has a B+ rating on niche.com. But both offer advanced placement, also called AP classes, so you can test out if your child does these AP classes, they can, potentially skip certain classes if they go to college, that kind of stuff. So they do offer special programs. I would say most of the high schools in the areas, not just Turlock, do offer those AP courses too. But I went to Turlock High School, so I'm just very familiar with the options. Now, lastly, we do have private schools here in Turlock. The most notable that a lot of people will go to and stands out is Turlock Christian. Now, Turlock Christian, the high school in particular, has a much lower student-to-teacher ratio, with it being about one teacher per every 15 students, versus public schools, which are in the 20s for students. So this just gives the students a much better opportunity to have that one-on-one time with teachers and have all of their needs met. So I would say living here in Turlock, no matter where you're at, there's a really great school district for your child. But if you are looking for a specific school that you're wanting to go to, then definitely reach out to me and we can find you a home that's in that specific district. Now, fourth pro to living here in Turlock, and why a lot of people do love living here, is because there are so many nice neighborhoods. You go to a couple other cities where it's very pocketed, like, oh, this one's really nice, and then a couple blocks over, it's not as desirable, or the prices are a little bit lower. But genuinely here in Turlock, there are so many different amazing places where you can live. So even if maybe you can't afford one specific area, or there's not a home that you're looking for in that area, there's a ton of other different places you can go to and still be very happy. So some of the most notable areas, of course, there's East Turlock. Now, East Turlock is the very eastern part of Turlock, of course, and that has really beautiful, large custom homes. You will not see any tract homes over there. Every home is unique, usually has big backyards, and that is where a lot of people would love to live. Now, keep in mind that is a little bit of a higher price point, but if maybe the price point's a little too high, we have North Turlock as well too, where those are homes built in the more 2000s, so they're fairly newer, but still really big homes, nice backyards, plenty of room to grow for you as well too. Now, we also have Turlock's older area, which I love. I love seeing some of the older homes, and we have homes that are as early as the 1920s built here in Turlock, which I think is incredible. And a lot of those are close to Turlock High School. It's some of the older areas, getting closer to downtown Turlock. We have some of those older homes too. So if you are into some of that vintage tree-lined street charm, you can definitely find that here in Turlock. So there's a lot of options if you are moving here, and just like I said, reach out to me and we can find exactly what it is that you prefer. Now, the last part I'm going to talk about, and There's so many pros. I could really just keep going on for Turlock, but these are the major ones. The last one I'm going to discuss is some of the incredible locally owned businesses here. And I know that goes hand in hand with some of the first points I touched on, but I think that Turlock really does support and encourage small locally owned businesses rather than some of the big chain stores. So in terms of restaurants, you really do not need to leave Turlock if you're looking for a specific cuisine. There's pretty much everything here. Some of the notable favorites, my favorites, I should say. If you're looking for Italian, there's a great family-owned place called Via Napoli. If you're looking for sushi, I absolutely love sushi cuisine. If you don't know where it's at, it's close to the Safeway, and if you blink, you'll miss it. So it's very small. You have to know it's there, but it's so fantastic. Some people like there's so many cafes here in Turlock that are all family, locally owned. There's just a lot of options here. Now, that's not only just restaurants, we also have a lot of smaller boutique stores. We have home goods stores. We have, well, a home goods. I don't mean the actual home goods store. We have that one too. But in terms of smaller ones, we have, where you can find goods for your home. I think it's a better way to say it, that are all locally owned here. A lot of them on Main Street in downtown Turlock. A lot of small clothing stores. So it's really just great to see it supported. And Turlock does put on a lot of events too to try and help support those local businesses and encourage people to shop small instead of some of those big stores. So for example, a lot of those stores are featured during the Christmas parade. It is on Main Street. So if there's a business on Main Street, there's just tons and tons of people walking down on that day. We have a event, I think it's in November around like Black Friday time, called Shop the Blocks, which encourages you to go in downtown Turlock and shop those stores for holiday gifts. We have a downtown Turlock sip and stroll, so you can sip on a glass of wine while you walk around and shop. And so there's just a lot of different events they put on to help try and encourage people to shop at these small businesses. Well, of course, I think Turlock is fantastic. Of course, there's some cons to living here, just like any place. So we're gonna go over a few of those just so you are aware of the downside. Now, I don't want you to think that moving here to Turlock, everything's going to be just 100% perfect and nothing wrong ever. Of course, there's cons. So let's just get into those. The first one we're gonna talk about is there is a lack of major job opportunities in certain industries. So even though Turlock's economy has been growing significantly, as we've talked about all those new businesses coming to the area, the university bringing a lot of different jobs, it's still very heavily reliant on agriculture around here. Education's big, and retail. But if you are looking for jobs in other sectors, such as tech or healthcare, you may have to commute a little bit further to get what you're looking for. So in terms of tech and those types of industries, really big corporation jobs, people do commute to the Bay Area, and that is a couple-hour commute, whether they're going to San Jose, San Francisco, even just to Livermore, is very, very common. So that is, annoying for a lot of people that they do have to commute so far, but we just don't have those giant corporations and companies directly here in Turlock. So that does cause them to have to go a little bit further. Now, in terms of maybe healthcare, we do have the hospital here, the Emmanuel Medical Center, as well as a lot of just locally owned, practitioner-owned offices here. But opportunities are a little bit more limited. It's a little bit smaller. A lot of people do end up going to even just Modesto has multiple hospitals and a lot more opportunities. So you don't have to go as far. But those are just two really big industries that people may not have as many job opportunities here in Turlock in particular. But there still is a lot of opportunities here. I don't want you to move here and think that there's not going to be a job and career for you. I mean, my office is located here in Turlock. There's a lot of opportunities for you, but just keep in mind, if you're looking for something bigger like that, you may have to commute and go a little bit further outside of town. Now, another con to living here, this is kind of a unique one here to Turlock, is there are some water supply concerns. Our water supply here relies heavily on groundwater, and that's facing some concerns because of its declining availability and just some stricter water quality regulations here. So the city has had to come up with some new ideas as how to get good drinking water here. So because we've always relied on groundwater, we've had to find new different things, but they have been working on this surface water integration project, and that is trying to diversify the water source. So they're starting to implement a new, pretty much getting a water supply from surface water out of the Tuolumne River, and that's been helping address these challenges. They also have been working on building I think they already did build a water treatment plant from the Tuolumne River. So that would be help our meet all of the state and federal water drinking standards, as well as they did build, a surface water treatment plant near in Turlock that provides drinking water for Turlock and Ceres. Now, this facility does, like I said, divert water from the Tuolumne River, drinks it for treating water, and the plant actually does process up to 15 million gallons of water today, distributing about 10 million gallons to Turlock and then about 5 million gallons to Ceres, since Ceres is smaller. Now, because I remember growing up, the water always tasting great here in Turlock and not having as many issues with it, but this has just been a more recent problem that the city has been trying to combat. I will say though, I mean, you can still drink out of the tap here in Turlock. I personally do, and it tastes totally fine to me. I mean, that's subjective, of course, but this is just one issue that we've been kind of facing here, but the city is actively working on how can we combat this? How can we overcome this and still give residents, clean, great drinking water, which I think they've done a really good job at. And lastly, our last con is it can be a little bit harder to get an entry-level home here in Turlock. Now, Turlock is one of the more popular areas here in Stanislaus County and surrounding areas, so there's a higher demand for people to live here. So this does end up driving up home prices a little bit. The same home that you can get here in Turlock can be significantly cheaper if you go a little bit more south towards, Atwater and Merced. But you are paying for location. You want that convenience with all the stores, all the shopping, dining, everything. And it's just harder to find an entry-level home. Now, there's plenty of houses for sale in Turlock, but there's not necessarily a lot of starter homes here. Starter homes that are maybe big enough for the size that you need. So a lot of entry-level homes here in Turlock are more 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and those are usually in the older parts of Turlock. So you do get a good sized lot and backyard. But again, if you need at least 3 or 4 bedrooms, you're not going to find a more affordable option here in Turlock compared to some of the surrounding areas. Now, keep in mind, Turlock is still significantly more affordable and cheaper than the rest of California. I mean, you go to the Bay Area and the same home that you're buying here in Turlock is 3-4 times the cost, and you don't get a backyard there. So I still think it is a much more affordable place to live in California, but I'm talking more in terms of comparing it to home prices and surroundings. So if you are looking for more entry level, a little bit more affordable, you may be better off, like I said, going south towards Merced or Atwater, or even there's certain areas of Ceres, Modesto, and a lot of surrounding areas around Turlock. There's even Denair has some options too, but again, it's just very, very popular to live here, so house prices are a little bit higher here. But again, if you're able to make it work, you are paying for the location and the convenience and just be able to live in a great town, if I do say so myself. So is Turlock a good place to live, and is it somewhere that you want to be? Now, obviously throughout this video, I feel like my opinion on it is very, very clear, but the decision is ultimately up to you on whether Turlock is the right place for you. Now, if you are thinking of moving here, feel free to reach out to me, book a Zoom call with me, or give me a call, send me a text, and we can go over a little bit more what it is that you're looking for, explain your different options here. And until next time, I'd be so happy to show you around Turlock.